Derry, officially Londonderry, is the second largest city in Northern Ireland and the fourth largest city on the island of Ireland. The name Derry is an anglicisation of the Irish name Der Ordwar, meaning oak grove. In 1613, the city was granted a royal charter by King James I and gained the London prefix to reflect the funding of its construction by the London guilds. While the city is more usually known colloquially as Derry, Londonderry is also commonly used and remains the legal name. The old walled city lies on the west bank of the River Foyle, which is spanned by two road bridges and one footbridge. The city now covers both banks. The city district also extends to rural areas to the southeast. The population of the city proper was 83,652 in the 2001 census, while the Derry urban area had a population of 90,736. The district is administered by Derry City and Strabane District Council and contains both Londonderry Port and City of Derry Airport. Derry is close to the border with County Donegal, with which it has had a close link for many centuries. The person traditionally seen as the founder of the original Derry is Saint Colmcille, a holy man from Tir Chonal, the old name for almost all of modern County Donegal. In 2013, Derry became the inaugural UK City of Culture, having been awarded the title in July 2010. Name: according to the city's royal charter of 10 April 1662, the official name is Londonderry. This was reaffirmed in a High Court decision in January 2007 when Derry City Council sought guidance on the procedure for effecting a name change. The council had changed its name from Londonderry City Council to Derry City Council in 1984. The court case was seeking clarification as to whether this had also changed the name of the city. The decision of the court was that it had not, but it was clarified that the correct procedure to do so was via a petition to the Privy Council. Derry City Council since started this process and were involved in conducting an equality impact assessment report. Firstly, it held an opinion poll of district residents in 2009, which reported that 75% of Catholics and 77% of nationalists found the proposed change acceptable, compared to 6% of Protestants and 8% of Unionists. Then the EQIA held two consultative forums, and solicited comments from the general public on whether or not the city should have its name changed to Derry. A total of 12,136 comments were received, of which 3,108 were broadly in favor of the proposal, and 9,028 opposed to it. On 23 July 2015, the council voted in favor of a motion to change the official name of the city to Derry and to write to Mark H. Durkan, Northern Ireland Minister of the Environment, to ask how the change could be effected. Despite the official name, the city is more usually known as simply Derry, which is an anglicisation of the Irish Der Ordwar, and translates as oak grove, oak wood. The name derives from the settlement's earliest references, Der Calgaich. The name was changed from Derry in 1613 during the plantation of Ulster to reflect the establishment of the city by the London guilds. The name, Derry, is preferred by nationalists and it is broadly used throughout Northern Ireland's Catholic community, as well as that of the Republic of Ireland, whereas many Unionists prefer Londonderry. However, in everyday conversation, Derry is used by most Protestant residents of the city. Linguist Kevin McCafferty argues that it is not, strictly speaking, correct that Northern Ireland Catholics call it Derry, while Protestants use the Londonderry form, although this pattern has become more common locally since the mid-1980s, when the city council changed its name by dropping the prefix. In McCafferty's survey of language use in the city, only very few interviewees, all Protestants, use the official form. Apart from the name of Derry City Council, the city is usually known as Londonderry in official use within the UK. In the Republic of Ireland, the city and county are almost always referred to as Derry, on maps, in the media and in conversation. In April 2009, however, the Republic of Ireland's Minister for Foreign Affairs, AnGael Martin, announced that Irish passport holders who were born there could record either Derry or Londonderry as their place of birth, whereas official road signs in the Republic use the name Derry. Those in Northern Ireland bear Londonderry. Although some of these have been defaced with the reference to London obscured, usage varies among local organisations, with both names being used. Examples are City of Derry Airport, City of Derry Rugby Club, Derry City FC and the Protestant Apprentice Boys of Derry, as opposed to Londonderry Port, Londonderry YMCA Rugby Club and Londonderry Chamber of Commerce. Most companies within the city choose local area names such as Pennyburn, Rosemount or Foyle from the River Foyle to avoid alienating the other community. Londonderry Railway Station is often referred to as Waterside Railway Station within the city but is called Derry, Londonderry at other stations. The council changed the name of the local government district covering the city to Derry on 7 May 1984, consequently renaming itself Derry City Council. This did not change the name of the city, although the city is coterminous with the district. The form Londonderry is used for the post town by the Royal Mail, however use of Derry will still ensure delivery. The city is also nicknamed the Maiden City, by virtue of the fact that its walls were never breached despite being besieged on 3 separate occasions in the 17th century. The most notable being the Siege of Derry of 1688–89. It is also nicknamed Stroke City by local broadcaster, Jerry Anderson, due to the politically correct use of the oblique notation Derry, Londonderry. A recent addition to the landscape has been the erection of several large stone columns on main roads into the city welcoming drivers, euphemistically, to the walled city. The name Derry is very much in popular use throughout Ireland for the naming of places, and there are at least 6 towns bearing that name and at least a further 79 places. The word Derry often forms part of the place name, for example Derrybeg, Derryboy, Derrylee and Derrymore. The names Derry and Londonderry are not limited to Ireland. There is a town called Derry situated right beside another town called Londonderry in New Hampshire in the US. There are also Londonderrys in Yorkshire, England, in Vermont, USA, in Nova Scotia, Canada, and in northern and eastern Australia. Londonderry Island is situated off Tierra del Fuego in Chile. Derry is also a fictional town in Maine, USA, used in some Stephen King novels. City walls. Derry is the only remaining completely intact walled city in Ireland and one of the finest examples of a walled city in Europe. The walls constitute the largest monument in state care in Northern Ireland and, as the last walled city to be built in Europe, stands as the most complete and spectacular. The walls were built during the period 1613 to 1619 by the Honourable the Irish Society as defences for early 17th century settlers from England and Scotland. The walls, which are approximately 1 mile in circumference and which vary in height and width between 3.7 and 10.7 metres, are completely intact and form a walkway around the inner city. They provide a unique promenade to view the layout of the original town, which still preserves its Renaissance-style street plan. The 4 original gates to the walled city are Bishop's Gate, Ferryquay Gate, Butcher Gate and Shipquay Gate. 3 further gates were added later, Magazine Gate, Castle Gate and New Gate, making 7 gates in total. Historic buildings within the walls include the 1633 Gothic Cathedral of St. Columb, the Apprentice Boys Memorial Hall and the courthouse. It is one of the few cities in Europe that never saw its fortifications breached. withstanding several sieges including one in 1689 which lasted 105 days, hence the city's nickname of the Maiden City.